what was the most haunted place that you discovered in that county, in Medina County?
I always struggle with how to answer that. Is that the most ghosts or ghost stories with a location, or the one that I've had an experience in? What do you
Yeah,
think?
maybe
We
both.
want your experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I always preface this by saying that I've been going to haunted locations. I don't even want to say how long, because it's going to date me. But
As a
20
teenager?
years. Well, not as a teenager. I would go to graveyards, but I wasn't like really going to haunted places as a teenager. But it's been probably 20 years or so. And then I studied in Scotland at the University of Edinburgh, which Edinburgh is an old city, and every place there is haunted. I did my dissertation at Mary King's Close, which is an underground city there, where they used to supposedly throw people with the plague down there to die. Um, and I walked down there by myself 5 days or so, and I didn't have any paranormal experiences. But then when I came here to Medina, I went to Lodi, which people don't know. Lodi is sort of a rural town here in Medina County. Medina County in general is a rural area, but there's a historical society there called the Waite Harris House. And the Waite Harris House now is the historical society, but it used to be a house of a prominent physician in the area. And the basement has a lot of stories associated with it. People were the previous occupants there. If you went down in the basement, a lot of times they would feel a presence down there. One gentleman talked about how he was walking up the steps from the basement going to the kitchen, and it felt like a hand grabbed his shirt and pulled him right back down. Psychics in the basement claim to see or speak to a woman down there. There was an episode or an event that happened on the first floor in the parlor area, where a woman who was living there at the time was upstairs. This was late at night when she was by herself. She got this overwhelming urge to go down the steps and play the piano. No reason why, just an overwhelming urge. She was playing the piano, and as she was playing it, an apparition appeared right in front of her and was watching her. And then as she continued to play and watch, it just disappeared.
I thought for sure you were going to say they sat on the piano and started to sing. That would have really freaked me out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that would have freaked me out too. But it was the guy that used to live there. When I was down in the basement, when I was writing the book, I had to go to all the locations and take pictures and speak to the people that were there. So I was in the basement taking pictures by myself. And the basement's really old. It's one of those cellar basements. And it's almost like a long hallway, but I was moving from the boiler area down the long hallway, which was storage. So there was like a doorway there. And as soon as I passed through the doorway, I heard a woman's voice whisper in my ear, "Hello." Now, not only did I hear it, but if someone whispers really close to you, what else? Do
you feel it?
Yeah, it's like a breath on your ear, right? So I heard it and I felt it at the same time. So that's auditory and tactile at the same time, right? So those are two things. We talk about evidence and data and things like that. Now, I don't know. I didn't know what to do because you read all these books and they don't really tell you what to do when you have a ghostly encounter, right? So I took a bunch of pictures. I walked around. I tried to ask questions, and I didn't get much else on the pictures or any other sort of forms of communication. But I always found that location to be very fascinating. You know, the downtown Lodi, for people who aren't familiar, is really small. It's a really small square, but there's a lot of history there. That house, across the street from that house, was where the founder of Lodi lived. He built his house on top of a mound, right? And as they were digging the basement out of that mound, they kept coming across bones, right? Lots of bones. And what they found odd was sometimes as they dug deeper and deeper, they found an altar and bones scattered throughout that as well. And then they found bones that were giant bones. Supposedly the people back then could put those bones over their head like a helmet. And the teeth were like double all around. And yeah, I know, scary, right? turns out that he built his house on top of what the what we refer to as the mound builders. You see these all throughout Ohio and sometimes all over the states.
Sure.
The Great Serpent in Chillicothe, I think, is a mound from the mound builders. And sometimes they would, these are before the Native Americans, if you want to think about it like that. They were all over the United States. They predate the Native Americans. So they would build these mounds, and sometimes in the bottom of the mounds, they would have altars where they would hold ceremonies. Sometimes sacrificial things went on down there. So there's some speculation that perhaps that he built his house on sort of a sacrificial tomb down there in Lodi. So, there's a lot of history. And there's a lot of sort of stories that go into, especially when you're in these rural areas. It's really fascinating. Lodi,
Location, right?
Yeah.